Now, I've just realised, Shelley, that we need Councillor Livingston.
He was upstairs. Do you want me to run?
Yeah.
I thought he couldn't get here till 7:30 because of something else he's got on.
In which case, Chair, can we do the minutes next?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, there's a few points to raise. So let's get on with some of the formalities. First of all, have we got any apologies for this evening's meeting?
Yes, Councillor Dale and Councillor Fleming.
Okay. And any others? No. Okay.
I think officially David's here instead of...
I was about to say,
Ben.
Councillor Noakes must be subbing for someone.
Ben.
Yes. That's what I was subbing for, Councillor John.
Okay. Thank you. So let's jump straight into the minutes. So we have two sets of minutes to approve. We've got Thursday the 17th of September and Tuesday the 20th of October. First of all, before we come on to outstanding issues from those minutes, can we agree them as a true record of the meeting? Good. Okay. Now, do members of the committee have any other items that they want to raise as a result of that?
Yeah, I've got two, thank you, Chair. The first is on the Southwark Marina berth holders, and the second is from the 20th of October and the Canada Water. So shall I do one at a time? Is that all right? So some people may have seen the email exchange from the berth holders, and Alan, who's the chair of the Berth Holders Association, is here this evening. Gavin very kindly went and spoke to Councillor Merrill about what had happened since our 17th of September meeting. Just to refresh your memories, the recommendations are there, and we very clearly said we wanted a short delay in the implementation to allow time for further consultation, particularly around the benchmarking. If you remember, we were suggesting the benchmarking could be done differently. So Gavin was told by the council that they had repeatedly tried to engage with the berth holders since that meeting, and that it had been difficult, and the earliest meeting that could be arranged was in December after the price increase implementation comes in. So obviously I went to Alan and said, is this right? And I'm just passing around now the email I had from Alan, which gave their version of events, and Alan's obviously here if you want to ask him any questions. But basically, Chair, my big concern, and I don't want to kind of cast accusations or allegations, but it feels like the council just kind of tried to delay things a bit so that the price increase would come in and they could say, well, we've got the meetings coming up, we'll look at it at that point, rather than do what we specifically asked, which was to do the consultation, the re-engagement, involve someone from housing, do the benchmarking, and then implement if that was the right decision. And it just feels to me it's a bit the wrong way around. And so I suppose my request to OSC members is that we actually go back to the Cabinet member and say, look, this doesn't feel like it's been handled the way we intended in September. Would it be possible to delay this 1st of December increase to actually allow, there's a meeting apparently booked for December, to at least allow that to take place?
So there's, as I understand, there's 3 meetings now booked. The first one's on the 16th of December in order to go through some of these issues. Obviously, the implementation date is on the 1st of December. I've got some views about how we might come back to this and how we might continue to engage on this particular issue as a committee. But do any other members have any contributions to make at this stage? No. Okay. Now, clearly, this is far from ideal. And I have spoken to Alan this evening as well, and he made his case very eloquently again. The stage that I'm at personally in terms of looking into how this situation has come about is that we've got an outstanding request in to basically get some more information on the requests for the initial meeting following the OSC where we made these recommendations, and we're waiting for that information to come back. So I think we do need to come back to this again. I wouldn't be comfortable this evening making any further recommendation to delay, mainly because of the financial implications, and in particular the financial implications for the berth holders who are paying on a monthly basis, because they, of course, will be getting a decrease as a result of the decision that was made. I don't doubt that the strength of feeling from all of the berth holders who are involved in this. So what I would suggest is that what we do is we ensure that the meetings that are currently set up go ahead and are constructive. And I spoke to Alan tonight, and I gave him a commitment to once again speak to Councillor Merrill as soon as possible, either tonight or tomorrow morning, and also to come back to him tomorrow to give him an update on that information gathering that I've been doing. And that we then come back to this issue. I think a good time to do that would be at the February budget scrutiny, to get an update on the discussions that had taken place, and also to speak again with Councillor Merrill, and if we feel necessary to look again at the fees that are being charged. That seems like a kind of sensible place to do it. And like I say, I take on board what you've said, Anu, but because of the financial detriment that would go to monthly berth holders, and because of the possible financial implications for the council, given it's tough financial times, and I think that would be the best course of action. So, views on that, Anu?
I think it might be helpful actually to hear from Alan about the financial implications both for the council and for berth holders, particularly as actually the original date the council had been talking about was in January, and it feels a bit like the council's tried to move it forward to get this through, given they weren't expecting OSC to make life more difficult for these fee increases. So I think it'd be really good if we could ask Alan about the financial implications. And I get what you're saying, Gavin, but I think there's something about the spirit of what we recommended that has been completely ignored. I've emailed Councillor Merrill asking for any evidence that the council had tried to engage, and from what I gather from his response is there's nothing in writing, and that really...
Well, that wasn't what I gathered from his response, because he
said they're trying desperately to find something.
That we're currently awaiting that now. So I've spoken to Alan tonight, and he says that, and I've got no reason to disbelieve him, that he did not receive those communications, but I want to check that out and corroborate it first. I think that's the right thing to do.
Yes, sorry, what I'm saying is we gave Councillor Merrill the chance to do that before the meeting today, and he hasn't come back with anything.
Yeah, his most recent email says that he's asked for it, and that we will, and therefore I assume we shall be receiving it forthwith. So I think it's important that we do that. But if it doesn't exist, then that's another matter, and then we need to come back to that issue.
By the price increase for the month.
And the decrease for the monthly.
Suggesting we hear from Alan a bit.
Well, let's Alan, on that particular issue, on the financial implications.
Right. So.
Sorry.
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 No, go for it.
You go first, and we'll come back to Councillor Lewis. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for giving me 2 minutes. My name is Alan Atwell. I'm the chair of the Southwark Marina Berth Holders Association. We represent the 130 residents, the boat families that are there. I'm the primary contact. I've been working with Councillor Merrill over the last, mostly in the summertime, to try to find a way to both achieve the council goals to increase revenue on the marina, which is already running at a profit today. And my first meeting with Councillor Merrill was to see if we could generate an additional £300,000 of revenue for the council. So to that end, I've been meeting with Nikki Costin, who was the officer in charge up to that time, meeting with the Suffolk accountant, and we came up with some proposals to possibly increase some of the services of the boatyard. So the 24% increase that was due to go into implementation tomorrow could be spread over a larger base. Right now, it was the mooring fees generated about £950,000 of revenue. They added a £205,000 increase in the mooring fees. There was a discount provided to existing berth holders of 15%, but right now our concern is that we haven't been able to have the full set of consultations with the housing officers that Councilman Merrill committed to us at the Berth Holders Association mid-September. We just would like to have an opportunity to complete those consultations with the housing officers, given that we are really residents, we do live on boats, we have a lot of additional expenses, and a number of the boat owners, the residents there, are in a quite precarious situation where, because of the 24% increase, they are no longer able to remain in the marina, and they're no longer able to sell their boat because of the price increases, which is dropping the prices of the boats, going down. So all I've requested at this to Council Merrill and to yourselves is to allow us just a brief 4 to 6 week delay in the implementation of these before that becomes a fait accompli, so we can complete the consultations with the housing officers. The officer now managing, I believe, is Rebecca Towers from Parks and Leisure. We do have some dates in the schedule finally now. I'm the only person that is in communication with Council Merrill's office, and I can assure you the first proposal of a date only came through on the November 10th for 3 dates in December and January, and they were almost pulled the December date to push it into next year. It's just very difficult for me to represent the berth holders who are quite concerned about the level of increases, which is based on a benchmark against a private facility, which gives different prices for different purposes, and we just like to have the chance to help get a predictable increase so the boat owners know, in addition to the maintenance of their boats, what sort of fees and are they going to be able to remain there. So unfortunately we come down to the wire tonight, and I would be surprised if Councilor Merrill or his officers who have already confirmed to me there's been no other communication than what I've already shared with the meeting, but I really need some time for me to channel the energies of the berth holders to get engaged with the consultation, which I believe will be constructive both for the council and ourselves. I will highlight that I also represent the berth holders who would benefit from the monthly reduction. That monthly reduction is only because there's such a large penalty if you pay on a monthly basis, and I have a mandate from the berth holders to represent all the berth holders, including the ones that would get a temporary relief. Given last point, and I won't take it any longer, the impact of delaying this is not £300,000 to the budget. Most of the berth holders, about 80%, pay for their moorings in advance per year. So an impact of a price increase going in tomorrow, if that were what was the case, really only has an impact on some of the boatyard services. The Marina Harbor Master, Patrick Keating, who manages all the finances for the marina, confirmed to me that the impact would be somewhere between £5,000 and £7,000 a month. So I'm asking for just a brief delay. I'm not trying to, deny Suffolk Council the ability to generate some more revenue, but it is important for us as berth holders to feel that we are listened to, engaged into the consultation with the housing officers, and it's not only a price, it's about our status as residents, given that we do pay council tax, and right now the way the terms and conditions work, it's like a caravan park, and there's no guarantee at Councilor Merrill's confirmation that next year it couldn't be another 20% based on another benchmark. So I'd like to suggest we really take the time to work this process. If the price increase goes through, one, I have a very disgruntled group of berth holders who will be, panic selling, their boats if that's possible. We do have a couple people who are having to leave the marina already with some of the increases, and I just want to make sure it's fair for both parties. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
I have no question. I was going to say, if I make my point before you spoke, Alan, I wonder if, obviously we've had Councillor Merrill here before, and these dates obviously come just until after the next ask, and actually I'm not sure whether it would be worth us kind of getting Darren back in the middle of ongoing discussions, because all we're going to get is kind of half an update, and then he's going to have to come back in February again to update. So actually just having that one update in February might be better than having two
I think we should come back to it in February, definitely. Yeah. That would be my... That's
I just wonder, if they delayed the increase, and then the meetings took place and discussions, etc., and then it was decided that they would implement the increase that they originally planned, would you be any happier about that? If that could be done, that you might potentially have arrears as a result of the delay?
I don't believe that would be the case, given the financial impact of the delay. We were looking for 6 to 8 weeks till the consultations were complete, but it's highly likely if we have the consultations, we'll be able to agree on alternate ways, not just to increase the fees only on the moorings but also on the boatyard. We're looking at a cost-plus model, so services provided to the boatyard for commercial operators could actually accommodate or compensate for some of the loss of the mooring fees. It just seemed to me to be very disingenuous to add all the increase on the mooring fees and not look at the other parts of the marina, the boat lift, the facilities there, which are getting more proactively used at the time, is an alternate way to avoid some of the increase. No, so the short answer to your question, no, I would not be disappointed. I would expect common sense to prevail, and at least we would have the chance to input into the process.
And that would be your preferred option, would it? As you say, that the price increase is delayed and that you have these meetings.
The price, aside from the financial impact, which I believe is negligible, as confirmed by the marina manager, it's capital that the berth holders are engaged in the consultation. I'm bringing 5 or 6 very articulate berth holders who can express an alternate way, to achieve the economies that Suffolk Council is trying to change. But if the price increase goes forward, then we already have a 24% increase, which if people decide they are no longer to maintain their boats and pay the mooring fees, they're going to be forced to leave the marina. And the only discussions we'll have after that point is the rate of future discounts in the years 3, 4, and 5. So for such a big decision, I just think it's worth taking a few extra weeks.
Okay. Thank you for your one more question, and then we need to move on.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do it at all. I don't know whether some of the OSCE members have changed, but I think most people were at the previous meeting where we discussed this, possibly not you, Helen, but just to remind you that we said there should be a delay while they looked at the benchmarking differently, and the way we thought the benchmarking could be done differently was that you had, basically the way it's been done at the moment is they've gone off and looked at private marinas, and we've said actually this marina isn't a private marina, and we suggested actually they need to look at what the marina needs to make in, what it needs to make a small surplus, and set the fees according to that, so do the benchmarking in an opposite direction. Clearly that hasn't been done, and that for me is a really strong point, that we thought that should be done and it hasn't, and that's why I think we should recommend a delay, and I would actually ask us to vote this evening on whether we'd like to recommend that further delay back to Councillor Merrill to make sure that's done first. My question, sorry Chair, is for Alan, and it's that you said to me in one of the exchanges we had that Rebecca Towers, the lead officer, had actually talked about doing the increase in January anyway. Is that correct?
The officer, Nikki Costin, who was previously, I had spoken with him before there was a change of management, and he actually supported the deferral of the price increase to give us a chance to complete the exercise to be done on the finances, to look at a cost-plus model to perhaps achieve some of the revenue generation from an increase in the price of the boatyard services.
So the previous officer in charge had thought deferring it till January was,
yeah,
and you told me you thought Rebecca had been brought in to be a bit tougher.
I've only gotten feedback indirectly from the marina manager and from the officer, Nikki Costin, saying that we have a fresh face and it'll be full speed ahead. And I'm just concerned. I welcome the opportunity to speak with any of the officers, and we've had good access right now, but we haven't completed the dialogue that we were promised, and I invited.
Thank you. I'm just mindful that we've got somebody who's from one of the later items who's indicated they needed to get away a little bit earlier. So which is why I'm going to bring this to a close now. My view is still, because I've spoken to you before, Alan, so the stuff you've said to the committee we'd essentially spoken about before tonight's meeting. My suggestion is that we come back to this at the February budget setting meeting once these consultation meetings have taken place, and then look again at whether or not we recommend a review of the decision. That's my suggestion to the committee. Anud clearly has got a different. I want to be as quick as possible, Johnson. So
just wanted to clarify. So the current position is, from my understanding, that benchmarking has taken place.
No.
Okay.
Look, there's two proposals. There's Anud, you give your proposal, and we've already heard mine. So go ahead.
My proposal is that Darren Merrill does come back to a future meeting, but in the meantime, this price increase that's due to start tomorrow is deferred for 6 to 8 weeks in the spirit of our original recommendations, so that the benchmarking exercise can take place.
Okay, so we've got two proposals. You've heard mine, you've heard Anud's. Could we see a show of hands in support of Anud's recommendation? Okay, and can we see a show of hands in my recommendation to the committee? Okay, right. Okay, that's clear. So if the minutes could reflect that, Shelley, and if that message could be passed back to Councillor Merrill. Thank you, Alan, for coming again this evening, and I will be speaking to you again tomorrow morning.
Thank you.